Oh, yep, it's recording.
Welcome, welcome, welcome back to Truth Quest. My name is Aaron Moriarty. I will be your host, and we're going to go on a quest for truth together. And today we have some friends with us, folks. Todd and Carrie Swearingen. Welcome, Todd and Carrie, to Truth Quest.
Hey, Aaron.
Yes. My wife has her notes.
Well, now we've been friends for quite a while, and these fine folks helped me to get in touch with Corey Good. Right?
Yep.
I'll give her credit.
Yep.
Okay. So they're friends with some mods, and so that's kind of how it goes. So I'm deeply in debt to you, so thank you very much. And not only that, but they're very interesting people with lots of interesting stories. I mean, they've been on this, quest for truth as well, and they've had some experiences. Well, why don't I let you just introduce yourselves and tell a little bit about yourselves, and let's just get going with this. All right?
All right.
Okay. You want me to go first?
I'm older.
Well, I'm Carrie Swearingen, and I'm married to Todd. And I'm a makeup artist, and we've been married almost 23 years, getting close to it. So.
Wow, newlyweds.
Yeah, we've got 5 kids. So.
Wow.
Yeah, all boys.
Congratulations. Wow.
So go ahead.
Yeah, out of Chicago, floating everywhere, going to different states, and ended up in Minnesota. Our story, just how we met, was very strange. I was going clubbing all the time and every night, and I was tired. And this one night, I just committed to the fact that I am not going out. This Wednesday, I'm not going out. I'm staying home. So my friends are bugging me all day long at work. You going out, right? No. You going out, right? No.
I've never told Aaron this.
All day long, they're bugging me. Finally, at 5 o'clock, I was inspired for some reason. So I was like, fine. So I go. So she pops in, and come to find that she had the same story. She wanted to stay home, did not want to go out. Her friends begged her, finally got her going. I was heading back to Chicago because I was done with Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And so I was just happy-go-lucky. My mindset was that I couldn't get a girl if I wanted to. Weeks passed. And then this night, everybody was dancing with me. It was just totally different. She pops in and that's where it just, I can go through the whole story.
But yeah, I was actually kind of not wanting to go out either, but it was my girlfriend's birthday, and my sister and my girlfriend talked me into it. So. And the
reason it's relevant because, our relationship and the dynamics of it, it was necessary. Our friendship, our relationship is really based on a strong friendship. Get past all the other things. That's the primary, and the fact that Carrie's waking up process, which you're going to learn about, which is interesting.
So were you already awake, Todd, before?
I don't like the word awake.
Right.
I mean, in the sense, yes, but I was always a seeker.
He was, Aaron. I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I had bizarre situation like I went into a bookstore. I was already into the inner earth Palladian types dialogue. And I went into a bookstore and I didn't fully understand the Palladian kind. I heard the term, I didn't understand it. And I'm looking through books, and a book from the top shelf fell and landed in my hand. It was Barbara Masinek's book, Bringers of the Dawn. Wow. And that was clue to buy it. And before I bought it, I opened up the section, and it was talking about cultivating sexual energy, which I thought, well, that's kind of odd to have that in it, because that happened to have been a book that I was reading prior to, that was a martial arts book about sexual cultivation. In essence, about seminal retention. Boxers do it, martial artists do it. I mean, it started with the
going down a whole path.
Started the Yellow Emperor. Started it where he was trying to get satisfy his 1,000 of wives, and he wanted to find a way to sexually take care of all of them, I guess. And they came up with this particular method, and it became a martial arts practice. So anyway, it was so bizarre that I happened to go right to that. It was just triple, it was just really, I needed to get this book, so I got it.
I can't not laugh
Went
at
from
my
there.
husband.
And there's going to be some laughing going the other direction too. So
Interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
and then I went into, I went to Atlanta, and my DJ named Angel, I was mentioning that I met this guy at a record store, and we went outside. We started to, connect, and he ran into some people that recognized him. He says, "Yeah," and he asked his DJ name. He says, "Yeah, I'm Satan. This is my boy Angel." So he named me, and that kind of went on a path. And I was later on started working in Atlanta and learned about. I was into astro projection. I was into studying that. I really wanted to learn about, learn how to do this. And I'm working on one of my temp jobs, and I met this gracious Black woman. She was just really cool. She took to me right away. She's telling me how she could predict my day with numerology, and she started get my birthday, writing everything out. Told me word for word each step of the day, and I'm like, cool, Then she brought up the fact that she can astral travel, and I'm like, really? She says, "Tell you what, I'll come visit you tonight." And she took my number, and the plan was she would call me. And I lived in an apartment where there was vaulted ceilings. You could not look in. There was no windows. The only window that were available was overlooking a third floor. So no way you could peep in. There's no way she could see me. Sure enough, I got the call, and she's like, "Okay, give me a moment." And she's breathing. And she says, "All right, I'm ready." And I start waving. She says, "Yeah, you're waving." And I pull my shirt. She says, "Yeah, white t-shirt." So I start walking around the apartment. I get the chills. I'm just like, what the hell? And I'm pointing to everything. She's IDing it, but she's getting kind of bored. So then she goes into this other direction. But that was confirmation for me that the fourth dimension, this dimension, this I guess you can say dimension, exists. And that just clarified for me. And then I told the story many times. I'm hoping now I can stop telling the story and use this video. Now she has a story.
Well, I mean, I guess I could start from, in title. I was raised Catholic, and I was a devout Catholic. I mean, I was going to church and everything, up until this awakening happened. Yeah.
Well, actually, what was going on is I had been watching different shows. Like I'm into Abraham Hicks, and
Yeah.
she would pop out of her makeup room, and she goes, "I don't know about that," and she challenged. That sounds smart. I like that, but what about this? And she was intrigued by what she's hearing, but at the same time, she wanted to be dismissive. There's one particular time that I was listening to some critical information. I wish she'd shut the hell up because she kept popping out, talking while I'm trying to listen. Then the volume went up 3 notches, and the remote was right in front of me. And she popped out and heard that. And she made a comment. I think it was a positive comment because she was aligned with what was said. And it happened again on another point. And she popped out again. And I'm like, "Carrie, I didn't do that," because she understood that she thought I turned the volume up.
Well, and so, I mean, and the thing is, I was going to church. I mean, every Sunday, very, very devout. But I kept all my life. I was having like the law of one thrown at me. So I mean, I constantly. So
relationships, she's talking about.
Yeah, relationships, and then people introducing it to me, and it's kind of hard for me to talk about because it's just I feel kind of.
It wasn't stated as law of one, but I'm kind of you now know it
I'm
was
like
law
nervous, talking about all of this.
But anyway, I'm still watching my material. I started getting into the cosmic disclosure and Corey Good, and she was relatively intrigued, but she'd pop out.
Well, I've been into esoteric stuff all my life.
Right.
I mean, I've been like fascinated with ghost stuff and ET stuff, and it's just always, and that's kind of why we probably were attracted to one another because we both kind of, you know, but yeah, then he was watching Cosmic Disclosure. I mean, you can go ahead.
Yeah,
You
no,
can.
I mean, well, the precursor was the ghost stuff. That was really what really launched her questions. Because I always told her in a relationship, because we had kids together, go in that direction, that, I'm not gonna, stop you from being you, and how you raise the kids. I'm not gonna get in the way of that. I'm just gonna represent how I am and who I am. I'm not gonna deny them who I am. And that was our understanding through this relationship. And we were good with that. And so, but every now and then,
Yeah.
I would challenge her with some questions like, okay, if God created everything and then he created this being that's called, that eventually became Satan, who created evil and Satan? God, or did Satan create evil? That makes him
Well, and
definitely
I
a
mean,
deity.
I was always questioning things, but Todd was watching. Well, I will say what happened first. And I've had things happen in the past that kind of led up to this. I remember standing on the stairs with my best friend, and we were just goofing around outside of my parents. We were like standing on the front steps, and we both looked up and we saw what I would describe as craft, but they were like lights, and they were zipping at speeds that no craft could, and I was just like, whoa, I would say that was the first thing that I remembered. I think that there's maybe things that happened when I was younger that I don't remember, but kind of feels like that. But yeah, that was like the first initial thing that, it was kind of fascinating. And in my mind, I was like, I don't know why I did this, but I was like, come closer. And they would move closer. And then I said, move back, and they would move back. Now, I wasn't saying this audibly so my friend could hear it, but I was thinking it. And then I panicked because of the Christian thing and the old aliens or demons kind of thing that everybody.
Mama told her that.
Well, yeah, I panicked, and I think she got nervous too because of what was going on. I mean, these things were moving back and forth at lightning speed. And we both ran in the house, kind of giggling, but still like nervously giggling. So then the big thing that happened before, like kind of that, I don't know why, but I had this dream of this being that what I would describe now is what Corey described as the Anshar. It was a male, blonde hair, big blue eyes. They looked like the pictures that were depicted. And he didn't say anything to me. It was almost like he just pulled me up to look at his face. And then I woke up and I told Todd, and I was like, that was the weirdest dream, And the funny thing is it didn't feel like a dream. It felt different. I don't know how to explain it, but we'll kind of get into that same feeling that I've gotten numerous times after that. It's almost like realistic, but almost feels like you're like if you're
somewhat
drunk
aware.
or it's a weird feeling.
So anyway, I'm watching the Cosmic Disclosure, and it's starting to move toward the subject matter of when the spirits come to pick up Corey, and he's going into the descriptions and and she pops out. She's listening, and then she just has me stop and rewind, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And she's like just freaking out, and she's like, I thought I was having migraines.
Yeah, I didn't tell Todd. I didn't sorry, my nose is kind of running. I didn't tell Todd that I was seeing what I would describe as looking like the sphere beings that Corey talks about. It was these blue orbs, and I had no idea. I was just like, so he's watching Cosmic Disclosure, and I kept kind of poo-pooing it. I was listening. He had been watching it before, but Corey hadn't gotten to that point yet where he was talking about the Anshar and the sphere beings yet. And I was kind of listening, and I was like, I don't know, that's so, cognitive dissonance kind of thing. Even though that I was, fascinated with it, but I was like, but then when Corey had said, yeah, he started talking about, I about, I would say
let's just say she had
oh,
got my password, went downstairs, and she started just gobbling it up. I mean, she went
yeah,
from season
let's
one.
just say I almost crapped my pants. I have to say that, but I was like, what? Whoa, 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 rewind that, because he was, you know, and Todd was like, okay. And I was like, and I probably turned
But
white.
give them the description of how it looked to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I thought I was having migraines because it was, it would just show up, and you know, sometimes it would move. It wasn't zipping around like Corey would say, you know, was saying that they were doing. It was moving slowly. Here, give me 1 second, my mouth is dry, guys.
Well, the Corey ones was to let them know that they're ready to.
Well, I
pick
think
them
it
up.
was
This
it was
different.
almost like they were trying to get me to wake up. So to me, it was like they talked to my higher self, got permission, because they don't. I feel like these beings don't want to intervene, or
they're not invasive.
they don't. Yeah, they don't want to compromise your free will. So they just, you know, I was. They would just show up and then just like sit there, and I was very calm, you know, and I was like looking at them, or they would just move slowly, and I would follow it with my eyes, and it wasn't like a migraine when you're getting, you know, flashes, or like people describe it. I was following them with my eyes, so they'd move around the room, and then they would just disappear, and this happened numerous times. It seemed like always when I was.
Was this at night when this happened?
No, you know, it was during the day.
Okay.
And it was nobody was ever around. It always happened when, or sometimes it would happen when I'd be like at my computer and I'd see like just a big, you know, it was about the size of I would say a golf ball to maybe a softball. I mean, it wasn't big.
Carrie's not the one to just latch on to anything and just go with it. It
Well,
takes her a while to simulate, to
Yeah.
accept. I mean, take 9/11. I mean, I presented
Yeah,
my
it took me a
position.
while to wake up.
She take her time to, and then she does her
I'm
own
skeptical.
research. Yeah, she does her own research, and then when she can't, you know, get the answers she's looking for from the, you know, the regular, then she eventually comes to her conclusions.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what just shocked me was that it was almost like they timed it so that I would go, whoa, I'm actually seeing this. Because even when it was happening, I wasn't telling him. I was, like I said, I was just, you know, kind of repeating myself, but I thought it was migraines or something. And they appeared to me this electric blue, almost like an indigo, almost with a hint of purple. I can't say this is what Corey experienced because I don't know if he really ever described it. I don't remember him describing it in detail, but they're electric looking, like.
And lit up? Are they lit up?
Yeah. They're just, all I could, it's so, because it happened in 2017, this is when this started happening to me. It was like the summer of 2017, spring, and I stopped seeing them in, I want to say it was the spring of 2018 is when I didn't see them anymore.
Now, mind you, up to this point,
So-
she's been going to church religiously. We'd go
Yeah.
camping. We'd have to go look for a church. That's where, and then she would go Sunday at the time that they had scheduled. I'd sit out in the car going, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was a devout Catholic, and it started, I want to say, like the summer of 2017 when all this really started to kick off. I even went onto a vegan diet for a while, and I don't know why. I just kind of got pulled into that. Then I started having issues with wheat and stuff,
and started having issues of going to church. She would first go, do I want to do this? And then she'd go because, it's just been her thing.
Yeah, it was like I was getting, I don't want to say downloads, but it was almost like I was remembering things that I once knew. I started searching like crazy, and I started, binge watching Cosmic Disclosure, and I was delving into the esoteric stuff. I was getting really pulled to it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is.
And this one day, she's ready to go to church. She goes on the porch. She turns around and she looks at me and she's like, why am I
Yeah, I
going?
was having trouble with them.
And she says, why am I doing this? And then she basically collapsed on me. So I grabbed her. I'm laughing. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Well, I mean, it's like,
and then she's upset because, you know, her mother and all that. She's like, she doesn't want to upset her family. What will they think?
well, like me
And,
even
you
coming
know,
out with this now is like, it's unnerving to me because
she didn't want to do this video, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. She's
because
up
you know
all night.
you feel like you're going to be judged, you know, and they're already looking at me like, you know, even the little things that I've told them.
She hadn't
and
said
friends
anything,
who-
right? So then her
Mhm.
sister comes over. So this is her sister's just kind of blah blah blah. So they're talking, and she just gives a little bit of information. So I bust through. I just laid it all out.
He
And she
kind
gave
of
the
busted
look.
me out to my sister, and Kelly was kind of like, whoa. But you know, she's been more understanding and open. You know,
But
it's both
just
my sisters and brothers have been. My mom's, you know, she's
she'd
kind of
go
freaked
over
out
there,
about
they
it,
were
but-
just coming at her every time she'd go to the family. They would just come on her.
Wow.
Oh, they're just getting on her about this and that, and the Corey. And they even looked up, they researched the Corey Good stuff, and for a while there, it was like interesting, but then they were just debunked it, and I'm like, well, okay.
Well, and I mean, we're modding for Corey right now, so and that's how we got you, you know.
Right.
And,
Right.
But we met Corey and stuff, but I haven't told a lot of people about this. I mean, I've told people that I felt like, you know, understood. So
Then she started getting attacks,
well,
waking me up
yeah,
and letting me know what's happening.
Started having really weird stuff happening. Like here, I gotta look at my notes because this is so hard for me to like.
I don't know which one came first.
Well,
the
I
ET one?
started meditating because I felt drawn to start meditating. And so I think when you're on the radar, you know, and I know people would say that you know, your star seeds and whatnot.
Well, actually, you learned how to open up your pineal with the geometric. I mean, it was through, what was his name? I can never say his name. Dramino. I can never say his name.
I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
But I started doing stuff where I was like meditating and I was drawn to that. And I started to get pulled into like a really deep meditation, and it was almost like when you see what is Stargate, where they were going, when you're going in a wormhole. I was just meditating. I don't know where I was getting pulled to, and this being jumped into my consciousness, and he said to me, why do you believe that humans should be allowed to exist? And I don't think he liked the answer. It was almost like my higher self answered him, and he didn't like the answer. And it was kind of along the lines, well, the same reason you're allowed to exist, you know. But he seemed really taken back by that, and it was weird. And then I want to say within like a few months later, I got really tired, and I was taking a nap. The kids were still in school at the time. He wasn't home. And I went to sleep, and this being, it's like flashes of memory. This being decided to pay me a visit, like physically. So they make you feel like, and the only way I can describe it is like you're drunk, doped up maybe. But it feels like a dream.
You got the picture, right?
Yeah. And I don't think this being was positive. He was that's how he looked to me.
Okay.
So I mean, it was kind of like I was looking up, what happened was I was laying sideways on the bed. I was sleeping sideways, and he pulled me by my head to the end of the bed. And I looked up, and then I turned my head and blacked out. I don't remember anything after that. Like, I don't know what happened after that, but it was like a flash of a memory of this is what happened. So that was kind of alarming. And it took me a while to realize that wasn't a dream. So It was weird.
And there was one night you ended up.
Todd, I hope you have a good place to hide that mask. Just kidding. Thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah, I mean that was alarming, Aaron. But
Wow. Wow.
yeah,
Right.
and then
Pulled you by your head.
yeah, he grabbed me by my head. It was like he pulled me by my head.
Wow.
I mean, that's disturbing. And I'm like, I remember when I realized that that wasn't a dream, because it took me a little while. Well, there was another instance where I woke up and I ran to the bathroom window because I looked up and I'm staring and I see this so far up, but it was like a glow of what looked like a ship to me. It was kind of like a pinky orangey glow, but it was so far out in the distance. And then I thought, well, that could have been the International Space Station or something. But the way this was moving, it wasn't the same trajectory as that. So
Mind you, these are
it
sleepless
was
nights
going
for me.
north. It was heading north. And I don't, I woke up and I don't know why.
And woke
I was
me up.
somehow yeah.
Just want to infer that real quick.
So then there was another instance where I audibly heard a voice say they're coming, and I got really tired and I had to go lay down, and it was like my eyes were open, and I was laying there sideways and I'm looking at, and it was like I could see it with my third eye, this thing that looked like, it was one of those, I found what it was. It was, remember I was telling you about this, it's called a bumble ball. And it has like these nubs. My kids had this when they were little.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they would bounce around. It looked like that. It was black, and it had these red nubs all over it. And I'm staring at this thing, and then this gets into the sparkle that I told you that I was seeing, like this, what looked like a sparkle or a sparkler.
Yeah.
Kept showing up, and I would see it in various places, kind of like when I was seeing the sphere beings, I would just see it out of the blue. Well, anyway, this thing is like in front of me, and it starts moving toward me, and I closed my eyes and I could still see it. So that's what makes me think that I was seeing it with my third eye, or what people would say your third eye.
Uh-huh.
It starts to scan. Well, it started to move in, and my sparkle showed up. I call it my sparkle. I think David Wilcock even talked about something like that. And I said, push it out, and it pushed this thing out. So this thing backed up, and it was almost like it was confused. And then it proceeded to scan me from like my eyes downward, because it couldn't move in. So, and then it just disappeared. And I was like, did that just happen? Because you question your own sanity when stuff like that happens. You don't believe that that's what's happened. And I was like, okay. So then I called Todd, alarmed, because
I wake up and she's floating.
I don't float. I wish he'd stop telling me.
Total clearance. And then I heard something about Zool or
whatever.
No.
As long as your head doesn't spin around, you're okay.
No. Well, and then I mean, there were times where I know I've gotten taken. Now, by who, I don't know. I remember feeling it's that same tired. You feel like you're dreaming, but you know it's not a dream. I don't know.
Every night she wakes me up to show me a mark. What's on my back? What's here? And I go there and I'm like,
yeah.
And she wants to take a picture, and then I'm, at first I'm just discounting. But then when I look at these marks, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of
One time I've woken up twice now with a, it looks like, it looks like when you have a bursted blood vessel, but look like fingerprints on my legs, bruises,
Wow.
marks. Yeah, I have scars on my back, like in the same area, like numerous scars in one area.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Weird.
Mind you now, if she's sleeping with a chastity belt. Click.
Are the scars
naughty?
Are they scoop marks, or are they
Yeah, it looks, I mean, they kind of look like scratches, but one time was scratched it, and it looked like prong marks. And then there was a mark on my leg that had a bruise, and in the center of the bruise looked like a needle mark.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
I have weird. Todd has seen this stuff, and I have pictures. I've been kind of,
The main
documenting
one,
it.
the weird one was when she got the red, her eye.
Yeah, that just happened again recently. Now that could have been, it could have just been, a blood vessel popping. I mean, all of this stuff can be explained away, but it's odd. It's odd, and I hear other people talking about this stuff. So to me, it's like a lot of our friends that are kind of in our circle of, they have stuff like this too. But I remember one night feeling arms, which I thought was weird, under like two sets of arms, almost like I was being, and I don't remember anything after that. One night I remember, and like I said, you feel like you're doped up, where, like, the only way I could describe it is drunk and extremely tired. And I landed next to the bed, and I was so dizzy that I was holding my face, and I thought, and the next thing I remember, I'm in the bed, and I sit up, and I'm dizzy, and I'm like sitting here telling Todd, I'm like, Todd, something just happened, because I know that I was next to the bed. I know that just not that much longer. Then I looked at the clock. It was around 2:30. I want to say 1:30 or 2. Maybe it was 2:30. I don't remember. And I'm kind of skipping all over. My frame of time too with all of this stuff is just so off. But like this sphere being stuff happened when I was starting. I want to say it was like 2017.
Okay.
So now I can't guarantee that they're the same sphere beings that Corey saw, but they were something. And the fact that it happened, around that same time when he was watching it, and it was almost like they knew I'd wake up. If they don't intervene, they don't try and intervene in your free will, but it was like, I think they knew that if they did that, I'd figure it out. And so
after that, we've had a lot of strange. We ended up going to DOD, and I was surprised that she would even agree to do this because, looked upon as UFO convention kind of thing, but it was never established to be that. But she was sparked to go, and her family heard about it. They were like, "Oh, you're going to a cult meeting and blah blah blah," and I'm like, "No, it's not that, but that's fine. Whatever you want to think." But upon arriving there, in itself was just strangeness.
Yeah, we had a lot of weird stuff going on.
Disruptors that were hired to go there, I assume, came zone right in on us, trying to get us to park in a particular camping area next to this one weirdo guy. And I'm like, we'll be way over there, no problem. And just a whole lot. And then we met folks that are from Minnesota zoned in on us.
Yeah.
And they were the only ones from Minnesota that zoned in on us, and they had stories. They were the stories were incredible. One gentleman that, I'm going to get his approval. I'm not going to mention him, or because he has a business here, so he doesn't want to open that up.
Yeah, but I think he should do an interview with you if he's willing to.
He basically had an experience in the inner earth. Also some of the child, how they treat children. But I'd rather that story come out on his own.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, the people that we were meeting were just phenomenal.
Well, and I mean, I even had experiences at DOD, in 2019, where I told you where I had talked to Clifford Mahooty, and I shook his hand and then stood up and just felt this, shock of electricity just shoot through me, and then all the weird stuff, pertaining to that. He
is totally family.
Yeah.
He just, he just takes you right in.
But then again, with the infiltrators, I don't know if I'm going to get into that now. Maybe we'll talk about that later. But
she had a visceral reaction with what?
Don't.
Well, yeah, I think that, you could put all of the UFO personalities into a bag and pull one out, and it might very well be an agitator or
yes, absolutely.
somewhat a controlled opposition or
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sit and talk about.
right.
I don't think that we should. This is more about the experiences.
There's something to be said for unity in the community.
Mhm.
Yes, and I think that everybody is, their discernment is becoming so fine-tuned
Right.
that it's
Yeah.
really easy to see these people. I mean,
Right.
I agree. Yeah.
So
It's easy to look at them as lost, and they will eventually come back as,
right.
sort of,
So if I was to like disparage one person in the industry, and they might have a follower or some followers that really believed in that and heard me say something negative, they might never believe anything I say or be interested in, So I think David Wilcock does this. He doesn't normally talk negatively about other people.
Right. And I don't want to do that either, Aaron.
Right.
Like I said, I think what we all need to do is just kind of, sharing our stories and stuff is.
well, what I think really it was intriguing to know that you wouldn't. The farthest from my brain would be that the UFO community would be infiltrated.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
I don't have
And
a problem with us talking about that.
I was actually amazed at that ideal. I just thought, hey, here's some folks. But I guess I was already aware of the fact when the movie Fire in the Sky came out, and then when you hear the real story,
Yeah.
they don't match.
Mhm.
And then you realize, okay, Hollywood took this story and they basically demonized it when the real story is totally about love and light.
Mhm.
And, but that's an infiltration. I didn't think of it that way. I thought it was just Hollywood was bored with his story. Let's make it interesting. But no, it was infiltrated.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump in quick. I'm not trying to cut you off, honey, but I'm gonna forget this because my memory is terrible. I have such a bad memory, and so that's why I'm like writing things down to
Sure,
kind of-
turn off that annoying fan.
But so now I forgot again.
You need my energies.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
I'm back.
I was going to say something about the blue sphere that you saw.
okay.
Now, in Stan Romanick's movie, he shows footage that they caught of one of these spheres coming and going into the house.
Yes.
If you've seen that, I'd like to ask Corey too, if that's what those looked like.
I have to look at it because I've watched that and I'm trying to remember. I'm gonna have to go back and look. Our friend Fran, she depicted a picture because I'm not the only one that have, lots of people have seen these sphere beings.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Corey's thing is that was clearly the zip around was just letting him know that, hey, are you ready?
And that
was
could
a
have been.
transportation.
They were very
means.
calm, and maybe it was because I would have become alarmed.
You saw a conscious
If they
being.
zipped around, I probably would have been like, whoa. They moved so slowly and so. And I remember feeling extremely calm, and it was always when nobody was around. I'm like, for real, But then I'm like, were they making it so that I could only see them too? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if Todd had been there, if he would have seen them. Which also makes you think that I'm crazy but I know I'm not crazy. I know I saw these things.
Right.
I know this happened, around the same time. And
well, being crazy isn't a bad thing. Remember now, it's better to be insane than to be out of sane.
She's visited by Alf.
Really? Oh, there he is. Right on your shoulder.
wow. There we go. Now they're getting the puppets out. Great.
Well,
you guys and the dolls.
so they say we're light beings, and these sphere beings are literally light beings. And according to Corey, they can be small, or they can be as big as like the planet Neptune or bigger.
Yeah.
And they're actual beings, and they can transport Corey and other people inside them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so fascinating. And
that's the thing. It looked a little bit more solid to me, but like I said, I'm trying to I'm sorry about that, guys. I am trying to remember, they looked more solid when I was looking at them, but they were also smaller, and they were also, I just remember them looking electric.
mm-hmm.
Like they were so vibrant.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember if I saw like, this was 3 years ago, but now I'm seeing what and I know that some of our other friends are seeing. I will see like a flash of that, that indigo. It's like I'm seeing it in my peripheral vision. So I'm like, okay, am I seeing them again? Or I don't know if they've left, or, I know Corey had talked about, the raw beings leaving and stuff, but I feel like every so often I will see, and I see a lot of weird stuff, in my peripheral. Oh, that was what I was going to tell you. I will be laying in bed, and when you're in that, I can't remember what state it is. It's right when you're starting to fall asleep. No, is it theta?
Theta.
Huh?
Theta, I think, maybe.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, but I will hear voices, like audio, talking.
Wow.
I was getting, it was interesting stuff.
She did go full hippie on me for a while, though, I have to admit. I was going to get
and
it.
a lot of, and sometimes I will
start doing
I will see, and when I'm just waking up too, I'll see visuals of like pictures of things, and a lot of sacred geometry and stuff like that. Even when I'm meditating, I'll get that too. And
Wow.
and just, I want to say, a few weeks ago, I didn't write the date down. I should have. I woke up and I swore because my eyes were still closed, and there was a being standing next to the side of my bed.
She woke me up too.
Yeah, it was like I kind of sat up with my eyes still closed, and I said that, and I know I was awake, and I could see the room and this being, just like I had my eyes open. And then I opened my eyes because I was like, I swore. I said, what the, and I'm sitting here doing this because I know that there was a being there.
Wow.
And it's almost like the thing with, and I have to agree with Corey, you're so not used to seeing them that you have this visceral reaction. Like you try to make sense of what you're seeing. So you start, trying to compare them to like animals or something else that you've seen. And I've woken up and I had a dream where I did that too, where I was like trying to make sense of the being that I was seeing, but having a lot of, weird dream stuff. But I was trying to make sense of the being that I was seeing. I kept thinking poodle or animal, any type of animal, because your mind is trying to, make a concrete picture of what you saw. And it's hard for you because you have never, you've never seen them before. So,
well, it's 4D to 3D. 4D can't prove 3D. And
it's kind of startling.
Your dreams do the same thing, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. Your rational mind or your thinking ego mind wants to make sense of something. So your dreams, you're everybody in the dream, I guess.
Yeah.
And it just tries to make logic.
Well, but again, when you're having these experiences, it's like a dream, but it's not. It's almost like you're having an experience and it's not a dream. And I don't know if that's how Corey would explain it, but it doesn't feel exactly how a dream feels. It feels different. It almost feels like you're more aware, but you're still out of it. So,
well, like I always say, in your dreams, what's not important is the visual, it's the feeling. So then that I have to ask you, what was your feelings?
Oh, well, I've had
intensity of emotions.
Yeah, you get the emotions. It's and the few times that I've got, sometimes I'm confused. But more, I want to say, like, I've always felt calm when the good experiences were happening. When the other experiences were happening, I don't know that I felt alarm. It was more confused. I was like, what's going on? Because you're trying to make sense of, was this a dream or not? But I know that it wasn't, especially when I got pulled to the end of the bed.
Then we eventually went to ESETI, and holy moly.
Yeah.
That the mountain starts to light up, and the craft. We've seen all kinds of, moving flashing lights, and craft really moving really fast, and then the ones that are just moving across the sky, like you're not there. They're not even worried about you. They got an agenda.
Yeah, I mean that was amazing.
Oh my god!
And even when we were at ESETI, I woke up and I saw it was like a grid, and I was in that state, that waking state. A lot of times I'll see like geometry, like sacred geometry, and I mean, and especially when we went there, the energies, you feel it, you're in a different place, and it's like whoa. But it kind of feels like home. I know a lot of people say that, but you feel more comfortable there, I think, than you do normally. Like I always feel awkward. I feel awkward all the time. And I will say at DOD in 2018, I felt more comfortable being around everyone that was there than I do normally, just trying to function in society.
Antar told Corey that this was the Starseed convention. And we
definitely, I felt really comfortable there. I'm normally really nervous and shy, and like even now, I'm sure you guys, everybody's gonna realize that I get nervous even talking, and I'm like nervous about my family seeing this, my friends. I know, but I also don't want people to be afraid to come forward and say, yes, this stuff has happened. I know I'm not the only one. I hear stories from a lot of our friends, that are in this community, and they're probably nervous to talk about because you're afraid of the judgment. And so if this helps other people come forward, then but I feel I'm still nervous about sharing this, and I know my family's probably going to be like, oh, but I guess I'm at a point where I don't care anymore, because I know this happened, so.
Well, they'll probably tell you that happened to them too, maybe,
Well, they might.
They've had experiences, but they're naturally going to have to discount it, so, or they reconstruct it to what makes them feel better. It was Mary, it was Jesus. And my wife didn't pull away from the religion to discount Jesus, discount Mary. She still validates these beings, but from a perspective that's different, a service.
Looking at them as higher
to other beings that came
beings.
here. Yeah.
Like I said, and I feel like even like, when Todd was watching the Abraham stuff, and it was almost like it's like you're remembering what you once knew, it just clicked. It clicked more to me than the religion ever did. And so, even like reading the raw material, I'm like, yep. And it's almost like, oh, that makes sense. I get that totally.
Her friends from wherever she came from, they were like, who wants to go to Earth to save humanity? And Carrie's like looking around, and all of them stepped back.
Yeah.
Carrie!
All of them stepped back.
Let's go.
Wow.
And then she drug me along.
No, I think you drug me along.
People say we choose to come here. I don't know about that.
I will say this place sucks. It's hard being here.
No, I love Gaia.
Yeah.
Take get out of this 3D. The only thing is that I've come to the realization that everyone wants to fix the world. And the thing is, you can't fix 3D. It's duality, it's polarity, it's balance. Everyone's playing their part. It's a natural flow. So you can't get rid of racism. You can't get rid of the bad guy who robs a bank, or the guy who beats up the old lady, or the woman who does this. It's always going to be in 3D. But this, where we're coming around, is this war we're at right now, is a consciousness. I don't like the word
now
war.
You guys are going to make fun of me because I'm going to.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
She's gonna go pee.
So
I got it. Is it coming out okay?
oh gosh. Oh no. Well, this has been fun so far. I'm so glad that we finally did this.
Yes. Yes.
And it's so cool that you guys went to those places, the Dimensions of Disclosure, and SETI, and I mean, so did you get to take the laser and like hit the UFOs, and did they flash up for
No, I
you?
didn't. I wasn't really. I guess I wasn't really in the understanding what to expect. I kind of
Mm.
went. I mean, I heard, the last years, and I was turned on to, what I heard from Corey and Barry Littleton and some of the other folks that did videos about it. And then, of course, I've heard of James, and I've read some of his stuff first, and I liked the way his information, how he wrote things. It was so eloquent. It was so resonating to me. And then seeing his videos, all that, everything was a turn on. And then I told her that we're going no matter what. And my job is in the AC business, and my work had told me, summer you don't take vacations. But I made it happen.
Good for you. And James is such a cool guy. He's got like the perma grin. He's always happy. He's got this smile as big as the mountain. He's such
I just walked
Yeah,
up
we
to him,
love
just
James.
hugged him.
nice guy.
Yeah,
Such a nice guy.
he
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, he is.
He is. He's such a sweetheart. Yeah, I gave him 3 hugs, I think.
Oh, she was a big old hugger. Scott Savory out there, he showed up. Savoy, yeah. She's out there just hugging him. Oh, I just love your hugs. I was about to charge him.
Yeah, you could probably make some money.
I said and I said that's the thing, with the community, you feel a connection, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, but and I do believe that Todd and I were pulled together for a reason. I mean, it was meant to be. So yeah, yep, definitely. It was odd, but
Yeah, you guys are great. I think you guys should have your own show.
no, I'm already nervous about this.
This was the first one for her to, oh my God. She didn't go to bed till 4 o'clock. She kept saying, aren't you nervous? I'm nervous.
Yeah.
It's still not live right now.
This is awkward for Todd's so not like me.
Well, I think you guys work well together, and you don't seem nervous, so don't worry about that. Okay.
Well, everybody's gonna know anyway. Because I'm sitting there saying it every 5 minutes. But that's
Well, then that might make a nervous person want to go on a show.
right.
We're showing the way for other people, and that's the Great Awakening. So hopefully some people who see this show will be awakened, and maybe their story will come forward, and we can go further down the line until we
Yeah.
And the thing is, everyone's little story is relevant because it's relevant to them.
Yeah, I mean this my story isn't like some people have like just insane stuff happening to them, but I mean,
but for her to leave her Catholicism, that was major, because I was convinced that
it took me a while, even after it's almost like they kept showing up because I was still going to church, and it was like, and then even after I saw Corey talking about them, I was still going to church. I was still it took me a while, and I was still unnerved. But then like Todd said, I had the law, like I said, the law of one, that it made sense to me. And I literally almost had like you see the control mechanism with a lot of like the religion. And I think to me, and I don't want to steer anybody away from what they're comfortable with. That's not right. But for me, it was
because we align with Christians, especially now in this movement. Because anyone that is for humanity, they're on my side. Yeah. I'm on their side.
Yeah,
and it's just that it would be nice to help everyone realize, that you are that thing, that consciousness, that source that you're believing or praying to. You are it.
The oneness.
Don't be afraid of that. It's not an ego thing. It's not you're better than, or we're all equal parts of the same. We're part of the same source.
Yeah, we find all the answers from within. So they say.
Yeah, I mean, so religion is not bad, or a religious person that believes this, but it's just that they have to recognize what they're doing. Amen is Amen Ra. that's what you're praying to, a deity, you know.
Yeah. That amen thing always, when I heard that, it's like, ooh, and people say after every prayer,
Yeah.
where's the prayer actually going? But yeah,
I throw
and
up Billy Carson. He has the best. He has a video where he's in his car and he spills it out. I mean, he just let that flow. It was a. I share that a lot.
but a lot of religious people will say that they don't believe in aliens, but
Yep.
or other beings. But if they believe in God, God was not born on Earth. So by definition, God is an extraterrestrial
Yes.
Right.
And
being.
a lot of times that's what you see. It's like a confusion of, and or right away, the fear factor comes in. Well, if it's not God or it's not something godly, then it's a demon, and so it's like, have you looked at how big the universe is? You actually think that we're here and we're alone? I mean,
And of course, we all know that once that disclosure comes, and it's
Mhm,
you can't argue it anymore. Now, what is their religion? What is
Yeah.
their beliefs?
right?
Yeah,
That's going to shatter.
Even the Anshar have a religion. The Anshar.
Right.
So they're very, very advanced, but they have there's certain followings. But yeah,
they're creative.
I think all religions are really kind of like most religions. I think are all just pathways that all lead to the same thing.
Right.
It's
I
the
agree. Yep.
I like the way Corey talks about it. It's like you work on your higher self and you get higher and higher till the self falls off and you're just higher.
Yes. Yep.
And I've been doing a lot of shadow work, and people have questions about what these things really are. And so I'm doing shadow work now, and I'm getting really good at the bunny, and just kidding. But I think there should be like someplace you can go and get like a definition of all this stuff. Like what is
Yeah.
shadow puppets, shadow work.
You too.
Well, without humor is the one thing we have that I think is like a total blessing, because without humor, I mean, it would be boring, a boring planet without humor, don't you think?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it raises your vibration. I mean, just, I think, it's part of keeping a positive, considering, all the stuff that's going on and the things that we're aware of.
hmm
Yeah.
And for people who don't believe in aliens, they have to remember that to the aliens, we are aliens.
Mhm.
So if they don't believe in aliens, they don't believe in themselves.
Right.
Well, the main thing, I used to always be a sun believer, and I never understood why when I was younger, but I had just a love for the sun.
Mm.
And Carrie helped me understand that it's a logos. I mean, she got all the downloads, so she started laying everything out to me. It's a logos that connects to,
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, the information just came,
which connects to source.
You get
and I'm
this.
like, oh, thanks, honey. She just
I
told
mean,
me
you're
something.
you're sub logos. We're all like sub logo or logi, I guess they would call it. But and this kind of goes along with the law of one. And I'm not telling anybody that they have to. This is their path, and they have to believe this. But I, this is what I'm saying is
Mhm.
what I believe is the truth.
Well, every there's a different path for every different
Right.
type of person. I mean, for some person, the loved one wouldn't make sense, but but Hindu religion makes a lot of sense.
Right.
And and speaking of Hinduism, when you thought you had more than one arm, maybe you were Lord Shiva. Maybe that's who you are.
Well, she told me that many, many years ago, she was questioning certain things about her faith. And one day she just kind of pretty much shouted out, give me,
I want the truth.
she wanted the truth.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I've always been seeking, and I think that's how Todd is. Like, it just naturally, I'm a seeker.
Yeah.
But when things don't make sense to you, and then you find something that just clicks, you're like, oh, so this is the path I'm supposed to go on, and that's kind of what happened. I just needed a little nudge, I was being stubborn.
And there's some things I was not going to tamper on, but there were some
Yeah,
things when
Todd
we
never
met.
pushed that. You know, he never.
One thing she did do that I did not like, and she was drinking that aspartame pot, and I would come after it every day.
Yeah, when I was younger.
And she would resist and resist until finally she started looking it up. And that's when the internet started really coming out. She was almost like the first person to get into the internet. I was resistant. I was resistant to phones. She was the first to keep going for the newer stuff. But the information part is what she loved. And then when I argued about the 9/11, and the day of it, I already knew. And I brought it to her. It takes her time.
Mm-hmm.
The aspartame, she looked it up and she recognized, oh, you know, she basically gave me the science that I didn't even know. I just intuitively knew it wasn't right. The shot things, you know, getting the kids the shots. In the beginning, she was resistant, but not heavily. She was never heavily resistant. There was always a part of her that, okay, something about what you're saying resonates, but I have to first find my own truth in it, which I respect. And that's what she would do. And then we totally cut off from that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I eat healthier than you do right now. I get after him. But it took me a while, you know, and I do feel like even before this happened, I was already, you know, when we're going into like a lot of the stuff that we all kind of, you know, look into, I was waking up to, you know, and realizing the world isn't at all, you know, how we believe it to be. There's a lot of dark factions, and, you know, and I was doing that even before I woke up to this, but that was kind of leading me to this path. But there was something about, like, about me just needing that extra nudge. I felt like I needed to see some type of evidence, and I got that evidence. And so then I, you know, once like I started seeing this stuff and experiencing this stuff, I was like, oh, yep, there it is. You know, got the answers I was looking for, that I was almost demanding. You know,
and when she was asking answers from her mother, the best that she can do, you know, that's just one of those things that God works in mysterious ways. And not just her mother, but other people, they resort to that same thing. You know, when you can't answer the question, it just goes into, you know,
well, the answers didn't always make sense to me. It was like, it's not, I didn't feel comfortable with the answers, you know.
The one thing I always was confused about, and even more confused nowadays about, is the Noah's Ark thing, where, you know, I think last year they discovered like 1,800 new species that we never heard of before. So how did they get on the boat when we just discovered them last year? You know, and who was shoveling? I want to know who was shoveling, and how did they get enough food in there? How did they keep the lions from eating the giraffes? I don't know.
And what about the germs that would accumulate with all that shitting on the ship?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get him monetized by swearing. Stop swearing. I've been holding my not cussing because
I'll just bleep next time.
Monetized for us. Yeah.
We'll have to get that Swearingen swear jar out.
That's right. It's built in my name. I can't help it.
Yeah. But no, so you've been to ECETI. Now, I think I remember you saying something about maybe a Bigfoot encounter out there. Is that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So basically what happened was Jermaine Chavez, he was out there, and we had Cody. Cody actually came up with the notion that we were going to get together at 2:00 with Ben and Rob and Tyler and Aaron and a few other people. We're going to meet up, and then we were going to go closer to the mountain. We had it all planned out. I didn't get the confirmation from, you know, the Wonder Boys and
a bunch of young boys.
But
all excited.
So we all went, and it's known there that if you go to sleep, you sleep. So I'm in there in my little camper, and I wake up just before 2. I got my alarm. I really didn't want to get up, but I forced it. And I go out there, and I'm waiting, and also I see Jermaine popping out there, and he's all pissed off because no one's showing up. So, he heads in his own direction, and then I'm just decided to go walk around, and then all of a sudden I hear this not children, but young adults partying, laughing. It was a weird kind of, and it was loud. And I'm thinking, is this waking everyone up? And where is this
They were
party
all
at?
waking me up.
I'm like, where is this party?
can't
So
believe
I
how-
keep going in directions trying to find it. And then someone popped out of the bath. I think it was Cass. She's like, oh, that's just Bigfoot. Bad imitation of a coyote. It was like nothing new to her. I'm like, what? And that made
Well,
sense to me.
I had heard that before too.
But now we heard another explanation for that sound. But here, there, what was interesting too at East Hetty, they have a wheel that you walk. I forgot the name of it, but basically they have these planetary setups of different.
Yeah.
The medicine wheel.
Mm-hmm.
So I did the walk, and this was after I had the Bigfoot encounter, and I was with Siobhan and Scott and a few other people. We're doing this walk, and Randy was with us too. We're doing this walk, and it was stated that when you go to
with you guys that time.
No, you were pissed off in the camper.
They kept waking me up. I just heard a Bigfoot, and
she was annoyed with all the energies. There were some strange people doing some strange things, and she was like, "I'm not coming out of this camper."
I hid in there quite a bit.
But yeah, I had it was funny that I got stopped at the Bigfoot one, and that's when Todd, he did the Tibetan bowl on me, and I really resonated with that. And then when I got to the Palladian, I couldn't stand up. I kept shaking. It was just weird. I felt this tingling. So I'm like, okay, obviously that's my connection point. And Scott, he reacted. He had a visceral reaction when he went to the Syrian spot. I mean, he really just freaked out. He's like, okay. And we already knew he was Syrian just because of his demeanor.
Oh, yeah, I know Scott is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know where Randy or Siobhan, but
well, I mean, if you're living multiple lifetimes, you probably.
But yeah, the Bigfoot thing for sure. And then apparently Tyler and Aaron and us and Jermaine and a few others went out. They jumped the fence and did some naughty out there trying to look for a Bigfoot. And they had some experiences that you have to hear their story. I've forgotten how that went, but let's just say Jermaine was pretty excited about what he's seen.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think
I definitely, I mean, not to keep plugging them, but
oh, you know what that reminded me of? I just thought of this. When Todd and I were first together, and even through our relationship, every so often I would see what I would call an overlay on him that didn't look like him. And I saw that at DOD in 2018, and it looked like an AVN overlay on Corey and David. Todd's looked different.
And I've gotten this before from one other person.
Yeah.
And she was very clear about that she's seeing this. I couldn't get a description. No more I can get one from her.
Yeah,
Other than I just show her picture, we just look it up, and she said, "Well, yeah, but not quite, yeah."
Well, and like with me, my memory is terrible, so it's like I'm trying to recall, like even trying to recall exactly what the sphere beings look like. To me, it's kind of hard. I'm trying to remember.
Right.
But yeah, that's happened like a few times where I was like, you just kind of are like, whoa,
Well, what turned me on to her when I met her, right away I thought Dark Crystal. She's that chick in Dark Crystal.
Here we go.
Come here.
That was a great movie.
Here comes the yelping jokes. You're terrible.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
See, you guys got that chemistry. I mean, just like Sonny and Cher, I think.
Mm-hmm. It didn't last too long, right?
Who was that?
Because look how they ended up.
You guys are much nicer than they are, though. So, yeah.
Thanks, Aaron. We love you, Aaron.
Thank you. I love you guys too. You know what I think? The Edge of Wonder Boys and the Journey to Truth boys, they should switch one with each other. So it's like,
Yeah.
so Rob goes over to
That would be
the
interesting.
Truth, and then, you know, they switch one, and then they act like there's nothing wrong. Everything's that would be hilarious.
That would be just do a cast and just act like, you know, everything's
Actually, it
normal.
would be great if one was interviewing the other and they switched. That would be fun.
They could very well do that because they're all friends.
Yeah.
Are they? That's cool. That's cool. And they both have great shows. You know, both of those shows are very great shows. And
yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, everybody was at
Wonder Boys,
Eddie Sadie this year, even though it was smaller, but everybody was there. It was nice.
There's a lot of controversy
like
too. We've gotten a lot of mix of the controversy that was going on. I mean, I won't go into that because it's all political, but it definitely drops your jaw because you're like, wow, you know, you don't want that to happen, but where there's money and where there's, you know, information, there's infiltration. And it's no matter where when you go to these conferences, you have to expect there's going to be an infiltrator. And there's going to be an agenda to disrupt, and you just have to hold your ground. You know, you have to.
Aaron, I think you should talk about your experience.
which one?
The one where you turned into a sphere.
Oh yeah. When I left my body. Yeah. That was.
I know. I think you've talked about it before, but.
Yeah, I think I did, but it was a very life-changing event. I mean, I think I was like 24 years old, and this many years ago, living in Rhode Island. I was a designer at Hasbro, which was a great job. I loved that job. And at night, I went home and I was listening to the radio, and this guy was talking about astral projection, how to do it. And I thought, well, this is back in the mid 80s, early to mid 80s. And so I thought, well, I've heard of this, but I've never really thought about it too much or have an opinion either way, whether it's real or not. But I'll just give it a try. So you put your hands over your chest like this, you lay down, and supposedly that's the most comfortable way that you can lay. I don't think it really is, but this is what you do. And you imagine your toes becoming extremely relaxed, and your foot relaxed, and your legs relaxed, all the way up to your body, your whole body, so relaxed that you can't even feel yourself breathing. And then you simply sit up without sitting up. And I came out of my belly, and I was a round ball of nothing.
Wow. But
really was everything. And I could see in all directions. I could see, you know, and it was moving, you know, it kept at that same rate that I sat up. And I could see all the walls and the ceiling and my body. And at the time I was a scientific evolutionist. So this was freaking me out that this could even happen.
Yeah.
And so after I got so high above my body, like about 4 feet above, all of a sudden I started to remember knowing all this stuff. And that there was this stream of knowledge above me, like this gray stream of knowledge that I could pluck anything out mentally. And I plucked a white flower, like a daisy type flower, and it came before me, and it kind of like distilled down to its basic elements. And I had the re-knowing of, well, this is why a flower is designed this way, And yeah, that was a little bit.
Did you see any symbol like this flower of life, or did symbology, or was that not even?
No, it was just an ordinary, very plain white daisy type looking flower.
Okay.
And it distilled down to its basic core elements. And in doing that, it revealed to me why a flower is designed that way. That it was designed, which was a very weird thought for me to even have, because I was a scientific evolutionist. I didn't believe in, you know, what do they call it? Intelligent design.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the type of a thing. That's the only thing I've ever heard of, something like that. But then
you could say you were more of a realist back then.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you're born, you die, and that's it. You know, I didn't think that there was any spirit, but here I am out of my body experiencing this thing that
It almost sounds like you were connected directly to source. That the way you explained it to me, like you had knowing of everything, right?
yeah,
Is that how
yeah,
you felt?
yeah, and anything I didn't know. And I thought, oh, I could go to the moon. I could go to the sun. I could go to Jupiter. Then I went, oh, I've already done all that. And it's really boring as heck.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so yeah, it really sucks to know everything because you can't discover anything. I mean,
Right.
we should be very like happy that we can discover things, because if you know everything, it's like, oh yeah, that's how planets are formed. Oh yeah, that's, you know,
And that's the
it,
part about duality that's, you know, tough on one side, but you have a bad experience and you decide what you're going to do. You're either going to, you know, mope and, you know, cave in, or you're going to decide what you want to do next with it. Are you, and that's the expansion process. You know, if you do something, you take a bad experience and do something good with it, now you've expanded and you just keep moving in the direction of, you know, what feels good.
mhm.
And, you know,
Well, I mean, I know if you get into the law of one, a lot of times they'll talk about certain. It makes me think that you have a probably more of a direct connection to. You're probably more tapped into source than you realize. Um, you know, and it has to do with the alignment of your energies and kundalini and all that stuff. But like even when I'm meditating, um, a lot of the weird things that I'm noticing is I'll see like a blue light go in and out. It's like a fades in and out, fades in and out, fades in and out. And they go into the different energy centers being lit up and stuff. And it almost sounds to me like you just tapped right in. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, and I mean, if you became a sphere and you could see everything and you had no limitation and you understood everything, that's what that sounds like to me.
Yeah,
So,
it was really freaky. And then at one point, after I saw the flower, I was focusing on my body. I mean, I could still see everything else in crystal clear vision like I've never seen before.
yeah.
But I was focusing on my body, my 24-year-old body, and I didn't have any connection to it. And I had this knowing that most of my memories and experiences are in that body, in the mind of that body, but not part of me, not part of the real me.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that I've lived thousands or millions of these type of lives that none of them are really registering as important or
Mhm.
memorable, or
Yeah. Because
it,
you're seeing the bigger picture.
I felt really free to be out of that confining body.
Yeah.
And then I started to go through the ceiling, and I was like about a quarter of the way through the ceiling, and I saw all the dark, you know, the dust and the nails and the insulation and the light fixture. And I
Wow.
could see my body and everything below, and that kind of frightened me. And
Mhm.
I zoomed back into my chest, like really fast, and it was like a thump, and all of a sudden my body was like pins and needles, like I've never felt before.
mhm.
Every single square inch of my body was in pain, and I had to like rub my arms and my legs to get the blood going.
You
Like the
know,
nasty and
I
flush.
had I had I had an experience where I was completely numb, woke up freaked out, like I had left. And I've had this numerous times now. Came back in, my whole body was the same, numb. I had to I felt like I was pulled sideways, like it wasn't me doing it, and I was pulled up and then I started shaking to get the blood flowing again. So that's weird that you said that because I had a weird experience like that where I was like,
You hit on a point too that I've contemplated and it bothers me, and I'm hoping that it'll get corrected. And that is this movement to higher densities, um, leaving duality. Within duality, I don't like the dark stuff, and I don't like the control
somebody has to play the bad
mechanism.
guy.
I don't like going to work, the time, you know, the control. I don't like that. But when you move into this fourth, and I have to admit, when I go to bed, I enjoy my dreams. I don't care what direction it goes, it's dark, like whatever. There's something about the dream state I enjoy because it fascinates me. I know it's probably my own ego mind that's, you know, formulating, but still, it still fascinates me. And then I think fifth dimension, what is that about? Is it all fluffy? And then it's like, what are you gonna do there? I mean, what kind of
Well,
things are going on
Are you
there?
saying dimension or density? Because they're different.
Well, density is consciousness, dimension is place. So I'm saying
Right.
fifth dimension, 5D place, whatever consciousness you're operating, I guess 4D, 5D, I would assume 4D, that we're consciously moving to 4D in a 5D, because I don't think we're going to
Well, your
reside in a
consciousness.
fourth dimensional place. That's the dream world, and that's where probably a lot of darkness resides too. I understand the draconian
I think
archon
they're
groups.
lower. I think they're lower fourth density.
Right.
But
And these are all semantic. I mean, we don't know. But what I'm really getting at, when we get into this higher realm, whatever you want to call it, what are we going to be doing? You know, if we don't have the contrast that you have in 3D, what's going to be the motivating factor? You know, what is going to be our goals and our? It sounds good. I would love to be in a state of peace, but then will it just be
See, I don't
boring,
feel as
or am I
confused
only
about that.
using my, you know, 3D mind to try and conceive of it? And, you know, maybe I can't conceive of it. It's not conceptual. And you know.
Yeah, who knows, right? I mean, it's all a big mystery. Now, there's a gentleman, I can't remember his name right now, but he was big in the 90s, and he's just come forward recently. He talks about how he went on board this craft of these beings. Now, where were they from? They had blue skin. Some of them had blue skin. And he was there for quite a while. He was watching this society, and they just keep learning and learning. And they had these classes, and he couldn't really tell what they were talking about. It was all telepathically, but they'd be floating and doing different things. And in this society, people, they learn and learn and learn. I think for like 100 years. It takes schooling for 100 years, and they live like thousands of years. So it's a very, I mean, there doesn't seem like there would be any evil in that society.
Right.
They've kind of worked that out. So I think that, you know, the more we focus on evil, I mean, it's good to know that it's there, but it's also good to replace that with something, you know, in our mind that's good. Like, yeah, horrible things are done to people, but more people are waking up, and that's going to cause it to happen less now. And it's going to keep on progressing until we all reach this level. Like, what were we thinking? How could we be so blind to let this happen? Let's put these safeguards in and teach people, because, you know, in some schools they're teaching kids are, you know, they're meditating instead of taking time outs. And, you know, I think that's a really good sign. But yeah, the future, who knows? I mean,
well, I mean, if you look at it, even like prayer, I mean, that is a form of meditation. So, you know, and I think that goes along with him, you know.
What's focus is what you really want.
I mean, it's all if you even look into all the religions too, it's like they all kind of connect to that co-creative, that focusing, you know.
There's an Indian, I don't know his name, but he made the statement that if you can concentrate and focus on something for 45 minutes without breaking that concentration, whatever it is you want, it'll materialize before your eyes. But we, you know, with our minds, you know, you try and meditate, you always get that other thought.
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
I've heard that that a lot of alien races are very jealous of us because we have all this creativity. We create all this stuff, and they're fascinated how we could be able to create all this stuff.
Music being like the number one thing.
Well, I mean, remember when I got handed this?
Oh yeah,
I mean, this is the stuff, and I feel like this is your higher self telling you. But you know, Ben Chastain talks about this. We
What
were
is it?
at it's called Falun Dafa, but is it Falun Gong?
Oh,
I think
Falun Gong. Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's the
And
Chinese.
this lady, we were at
We're heading to
the
the
fair,
state fair,
We were coming out
and
actually.
we're coming out.
Yeah.
And the most unlikely, she had very few flyers in her hand, and she went directly to my wife, handed it to her.
But I mean,
It was such an
how it was.
unlikely thing. I mean, for all the things you could be flyered for, this was not. It was so odd.
Wow.
I don't even think she had a business card attached, right?
No, she just handed me this. And then I had seen you know, Ben Chastain talking about this. You know,
Yeah, his wife is from China, right?
yeah. Yeah. And I was like, okay, that's a sign. So you know, I feel like if you look into like you get signs, you know, handed to you.
Yes.
The
I
universe
think it's just a matter of
talks.
you gotta listen. You know, I mean, sometimes it's right in your face, and sometimes it's subtle. You know, I didn't even look at this for a little bit, and then I was like, whoa, you know, it dawned on me what she had handed to me, because I really wasn't paying attention.
It's kind of like full yoga, huh?
Yeah, I just was weird, and I was like, okay, I guess I need to pay attention to that, and I feel like I have incorporated in, you know, when I meditate and stuff, I do this now. You know, I keep it kind of more basic, but still, it pulled my attention to it.
And believe me, when she first turned into the super carry,
I got hair in my eye.
prior to, I mean, granted, I didn't have a problem with her in her religion. It was annoying to, you know, have to see her go
Well,
to.
my religion was a good base. I don't regret it at all.
Well, I was just always worried you're gonna convert
I'm
back.
grateful that my mom gave that to me, you know, and that because it gave me a good base to start with, you know. It's not a regret. It's just part of your path.
No, my thing was I was concerned that you were going to float back into it because, you know, you've seen the dark stuff that's going on, and it's uncomfortable.
Oh, I don't know.
Save the Children was really one of the biggest, you know, effects. I mean, I can come home, and one day I came home, and my wife was crying, and she's looking at a screen, and she's looking at two black kids that were hung back in the 20s, 30s.
Oh my.
And she was just crying in tears, and she always breaks me down. And I'm sitting here starting to cry. I'm like, okay, this is done. It's over. They're probably in a good place now. Why are you hanging on to what are you doing?
I think because it was children.
You
I mean, you know, the one boy was 17. That's a kid. That's a child. You know, I think that's what got to me.
And
how could you do that to a child?
Save the Children came in, and in the stories we heard, I mean, what a movement. I mean, it's sad that we have to learn about the
Aaron,
dark.
are you okay with us talking about this stuff, or I don't want you to get demonetized? And
as long as we keep it generalized, I think it's fine. You know, it's children are our future, and you know what happens to our children is what happens to our future. So, you know, we really have to come to a place where we cherish and protect all children at all times. And, you know, I really think we have technology now to kind of help us with that. So if anyone's, you know, have some kind of satellites, they can look through apartment buildings, they can see all the people. I mean, if they see an adult-sized person doing something bad to a smaller person, zap them.
Yeah.
We didn't remove our lead paint, so they can't see us.
Yeah, our house is so old.
Yeah, and you know, lead paint isn't usually the problem. It's in the yard, because in neighborhoods where there's been cars for many, many years, they had lead in the gas. So a lot of times in these old neighborhoods, kids are playing in the mud. They'll get lead poisoning from the mud. Because all those, you know, fumes settle down into these areas, and that's what people are finding, and it's very costly to remove the topsoil and to have that, you know, replaced with clean dirt. But yeah, so I don't know if the lead in the paint is just big of a concern. Kids don't.
Oh, I brought it up because that's what's supposed to block.
Oh, block the radar. I think they can see through anything. It sees through anything. I think it can see through.
Take that technology that.
Yeah,
and the ant shark can watch us. Remember, they sit in those floating.
Yeah,
they can watch us at all times. I like what Corey said. He goes, after I found out that, I wore a robe more often.
Yeah, you're kind of like.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you watching, Anshar? Hello, are you in here right now?
Now she makes me go back to missionary. I'm like.
You better hope no kids watch this.
I'm like, come on, don't worry about them. We'll turn off everything.
Stop talking. Stop. Wow.
So, are you guys planning
to go there? Don't you?
Are you guys going to go to any more of these events?
I just heard someone talking about ECETI again.
It's such a long drive.
Yeah,
that was a really long drive.
No, she mentally prepared herself for the long drive. She already driven it in her brain before we even went.
Aaron, we were on the road for like 60 hours.
Don't take her on the road trip. That's all I got to say.
Going there, and it's not supposed to be that fun. I'm just
take nag and amplify that. Oh.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I'm always running to the bathroom, so
Well, you got a camper, so that's kind of
cool. I mean, but having to make him stop and don't even go there. I know what you're doing.
Let's just say
no, we don't need to hear all the stories.
I told Corey and Stacy the story.
Stop. No, that's not going on here. Just stop. Or I'm turning this off right now. Don't even. All of ECETI knew that story, thanks to you.
Hey.
It wasn't just Corey and Stacy. Loudmouth. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I think we'd be encouraged to go, definitely. At ECETI, there's some truth to the fact that it brings out, some of the things you have to work on.
Mm-hmm.
And she was very aware of all of the people that had issues they had to work on. She was seeing it all. That's why she stayed mostly in her camper. I was out there floating around I don't like going to listen to people talk. It's like that's getting on your knees kind of thing to me. I just like to connect with people.
Right.
I'd rather just be a social gathering, forget all the talks. If
right.
that guy has something to say, bring him into a little social group and let's all share our experiences. Don't hold anyone higher than anyone else. We all are, valid.
So if you go there when there's no conference going on, it's just like what you're saying, just people. Right. Yeah. So maybe that's something that you guys could do it. Eventually someday I'd like to go out there. I think it'd be kind of fun.
Just go. I was going there just to look up, just to look up at the sky but I love trips. She's just.
It's hard for me to sit in the car that long.
I tried to get the best ass cushion.
I tried
everything.
Yeah.
I did everything to make it nice.
I'm just so impatient.
I was feeding her grapes in the car. I mean, I was doing everything to make it.
Wow. Hang on to that guy.
And then along the way, we have this.
You got to feed her the grapes and fan her at the same time. That's what you got to do.
But we keep running. One of our little specialties apparently is identifying starseeds.
Oh.
Into people. Oh. And out of the blue, you get into this conversation.
I'll be right back. I'm actually gonna put some
before you know it,
on, guys. I'll be right back. My lips are.
I'll tell her. Like we were going. She wanted to get home.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. Keep moving. And I'm hungry. And I'm like, I'm trying to enjoy my vacation.
Right.
So I stop off at this one spot, and she's resistant, and she didn't want to go into the restaurant because also complicated the mask thing. She didn't want to have to deal with that.
Right.
It's a refuse. We're not complying to that.
That was before she had the Visa mask, right?
Right. And I hadn't gotten that yet, but and then I seen a police officer come out, no mask. I'm like, dude is cool. So we're good. So she felt a little bit better. We go in, and sure enough, the girl, the waitress I'm keying in on her already, and she goes back, and I said, she's a starseed.
Wow.
Yeah, that was interesting. I mean,
And
that
then-
happens to us a lot. I have to
And then
tell
all of
you.
a sudden we start talking to her more, and she just blew up with excitement. I can't talk about this
Or the
stuff
lady
with
at the well,
anybody.
at the
Yeah.
water thing, remember?
Yeah, I mean,
that
everywhere
keeps
we go, we
happening.
keep finding these people that are bottled up, and they're
But I
so
think that's
blow
how
up with
that's just
excitement.
how it meant it's
And
meant
we're
to
like,
happen.
well, this is your calling. This is
Mhm.
time for you to stop hiding this and be, standing. I hate the word standing in your truth, but be who you are. Be honest with who you are. And let that shine.
Yeah.
Take ridicule, laugh at it.
Find your light and let it shine.
Yeah.
That's a lyric from one of my songs.
Well, I said I think, like with me, it's
Her coming out right
see,
now.
now the nervous is
doing
gone
that.
now because we've been talking a while, but I feel like that's a lot of people, you worry about the ridicule and the laugh factor, surrounding the ET and the disclosure movement. It's like you get that, you're worried that you're going to get laughed at or people are going to see you as crazy. And I think that's why a lot of these people, when they hear somebody else talking about it, then it makes it not so taboo and not so, oh, this is happening to other people. It's not just me,
Yeah. And if they do ever give you a guff, just go like this and say, what you say goes in here and goes out there and goes right back to you.
I always remind
Right.
people that who's the owner of truth?
Yeah.
Who is that guy or that woman?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've not met the owner of truth.
Right.
And, well,
Everywhere.
truth is truth. Okay,
Oh.
great. What the hell does that mean? I mean,
Explain
you see it, if 10 people see a car accident, you're going to have 10 different perspectives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One guy's going to see the cat that ran across the road and the car crashed. The other guy's going to see the dog that chased the cat, and he can go on and on.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of perspective, and
Yes.
and they're going to hold to their truth of what they saw, because
Yeah.
your eyes, you can only see what, less than 1% of spectrum of light. You're still going to hold that as your truth. Or
Yeah.
you can back up and say, hey, there's more to it. Their truth is, is perceptional.
Right. That's why I call my show Truth Quest, because it's not like I have the truth or I found the truth. It's like I'm looking for the truth,
Right.
Right.
You move closer to it.
Yes.
And truth is really what resonates. It's all it is. And I'm always going to be I'm always an expanding idiot.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I am. Because I know that what I know now is going to be different tomorrow.
Right. William Tompkins had a great quote in his first book. What we know is eclipsed by the things that we don't know. So the things we don't know is far more vast than what we do know. So yeah, it's like I said, it's like a continual discovery thing. But
sorry, there's a booger in her nose I'm trying to get out.
oh no.
We're listening. You just
think
like, are you sure you're not just an idiot to him? And then I said, just kidding, I am too.
Well, I think we're going to try to wrap this up. Is there
I know we really banged this around, didn't we?
Is there anything that you want to leave the viewers with, Todd and Carrie?
I honestly just hope that this helps other people to come forward, because I know that there's a lot of people that have, stories like this, and I think this is part of the disclosure. Yeah, and coming out with these stories, if more people come out, people are going to realize that this is actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
And disclosure will happen a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
So
and make certain you don't worry about losing love from someone, because they're not responsible for your happiness. That's why I say what love is.
Mm-hmm.
Love is not about loving someone else. It's about you loving yourself more. It's impossible to love someone else. So learn to love yourself and being honest about who you are and what you're experiencing.
And
let those drop away that need to drop away.
Yep.
And those will come. We have entirely new friends now.
Yeah. And I would say that, the unity in the community, that's a good motto,
Yeah.
We were all meant to come together and help. And that's what we're doing. I feel that way, so.
And you even helped me early to have a new perspective on one of your guests prior, that I have a whole new perspective now. Now I'm going to re-explore, because I shut down because I allowed the limitation of what I heard get in the way, and I got to stop that. I got to stop. You know, everyone's going to have their hiccups, and you have to learn to be allowing. You know, allow their growth. So
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Todd and Carrie Swearingen, for coming on to Truth Quest. It was fabulous. I'd like to have you on again. And so for now, folks, we're signing off.
Thanks,
Peace.
Aaron.
Peace in. Thank you too.
peace inward. We're still recording.